Thank you, Tina. I didn't think you were going to cut yourself short there. Oh. Good morning. So, what a great Sunday, the first Sunday in March. And what a great year it's been. The first month of the year in January, we got to brag and we got to tell these great stories about this great philosophy that Dr. Holmes put together for us called The Science of Mind and Spirit. And now we get to do something even better. Now we get to go back and recognize those powerful people who were the forerunners who put this philosophy on paper and guided us the way out of the forest. And before you roll your eyes back, and as we say in ministerial school, why would we talk about a bunch of old dead white men? I want you to know that, one, they're not all men. Reverend Nicole is going to talk about her favorite leader of the movement, Emma Curtis Hopkins, in 3 weeks. And two, they brought with them some powerful, powerful understanding and showed us the way. So the way it's going to go is I'm going to talk about Ralph Waldo Emerson a bit today. I will talk about Judge Thomas Troward, and in between the services, Reverend Nicole decided she wanted to join me on that because she loves Judge Troward so much. And the reason I'm talking about myself today is this is really a very, very astute, outstanding event in the life of Nicole. So it's big. So she is going to, this Thursday, be the keynote speaker with Dr. Roger Teal for the worldwide CSL convention. I'm so happy for her, and I'm so proud of her. And so you can, as we said before, you can come watch it at our viewing party. We'll set up what we call our rickety old large screen with a not-so-good projector. But please, this is an opportunity. Hold this vision for me. I want a world-class audio-visual in this room in a year or two. Think Magnavision. Let's hold that vision. Yeah, but you can either come here at 5 o'clock in the sanctuary, or you can come and, if you want to travel to Encinitas, it will be at Seaside Center for Spiritual Living. But I get to talk about Ralph Waldo Emerson. And the marquee out there, hope it didn't scare anyone off. It said, "Imitation is suicide." That's one of Reverend Juanita's favorite sayings of Emerson. And those of you who aren't familiar with Ralph Waldo Emerson and think that you can show up here and listen to some wise people and say, I'm following some wise people and I'm going to rest on my laurels, you don't know Mr. Emerson very well, because he will not let you do that. He will challenge you to recognize the divinity that's within you and bring it forward each and every day of your life. And if you were resting on your laurels, he would say something like this to you. A foolish consistency is the hobgoblin of little minds, adored by little statesmen and philosophers and divines. But let me give you a little bit more context of that saying, imitation is suicide. It goes like this. There is a time in every man's education when he arrives at the conviction that envy is ignorance, that imitation is suicide, that he must take for himself, for better, for worse, as his portion, that though the wide universe is full of good, no kernel of nourishing corn can come to him, but through his toil bestowed on that plot of ground which is given to him to till. The power which resides in him is new in nature, and none but he knows what that is which he can do, nor does he know until he has tried. So Mr. Emerson is always going to tell you it's about personal empowerment. It's always about taking self-responsibility. But the part that I want to bring about Emerson's teachings, and it's embedded throughout his teachings, he brought to the forefront the common day conversation about oneness. And it's in ancient traditions, because when you read the biographers of Emerson and Thoreau, the one thing they bring forward is that they both did their work in the middle of the 1800s. It was at this point in time where the mass production or printing of the ancient Hindu scriptures, the Bhagavad Gita, the Upanishads, and the Vedas, were available in America. And if you read Emerson's work, and especially if you read his diaries, they were very, very influential on him. So he keeps talking to us about this unitive consciousness, much like the ancient Hindus did 2,500 years ago. He keeps hitting on it. He calls it unity passes into variety. And the Hindus would say the one manifests as the many. And what we would say every Sunday here is that consciousness is the ground of all being. So I want to continue to focus on that, and I want to bring home 2 points. The first point is that you are one with God. And the second is that you are the Lord of a great empire. And even though Emerson was not one to write a systematic theology of philosophy, he understood prayer very well. And he said this about prayer, which really fits in with what we call affirmative prayer here. He said, prayer that craves a particular commodity, anything less than all good, is vicious. Prayer is the contemplation of the facts of life from the highest point of view. It is the soliloquy of a beholding and jubilant soul. It is the Spirit of God pronouncing his works good. But prayer as a means to effect a private end is meanness and theft. It supposes dualism and not unity in nature and consciousness. So he keeps bringing home this oneness, this unity in nature and consciousness, that we're all connected. And the second point is that you are the master and lord of a great empire. I want to go further back. I want to go to Lao Tzu with the Tao Te Ching. Same concept of oneness. And Lao Tzu says, the inner is foundation of the outer. The still is master of the restless. The sage travels all day, yet never leaves his inner treasure. Though the views are captivating, beg attention, he remains calm and uninvolved. Tell me, does the lord of a great empire go out begging for rice? One who seeks his treasure in the outer world is cut off from his own roots. Without roots, he becomes restless. Being restless, his mind is weak, and with a mind such as this, he loses all command below. So it's this ancient teaching of oneness, that we all come from the one. We all have this essence of the divine. And it comes to us in variety. So you guys know me as Michael, and with our experience is a lot of mystery. So you're looking at me up here, and I probably have billions of different cells doing different things, coordinating between myself, all working together. Sometimes we don't think they work together that well, like when we get sick or get some food poisoning, you think the stomach is against you. But it's just doing its job to get that damn poison out of your system so you can be back to wholeness again. So you don't have to say, well, I did my spiritual practice, I came to church on Sunday, so feet, please walk one in front of the other. It's part of the mystery, they just do it. And another part of the mystery is we're complicated. We have different emotional roles that we play. I'm a son to my mother. I'm a brother to my brother. I'm a husband to my wife. I'm a father to my children. And on Sundays, I'm a minister to you guys. And this is all part of the beautiful mystery. But the other part of the mystery is that I'm not disconnected from you. That's the concept of oneness. And on your seats, I gave you some of my favorite sayings of Emerson, but please don't read them for 10 to 15 more minutes. I forgot to tell the 9 o'clock, but take them home and put them on your fridge, and I hope you get as much out of them as I am. And then we have the great Hermetics teachings, as above, so below, and as below, so above. And that's teaching this beautiful way of life that we have, this beautiful way of life that says that consciousness is the ground of all being, that everything starts and ends with consciousness. And even in the new physics, they've now come up with this thing they call the unified field theory, where everything starts in a unified field and then goes back into a unified field, much like the old Hindu tradition too. And I know enough, I'm an engineer, so I know enough about the math of the new physics. It's extremely hard. So that's way above my pay grade to tell you that it's a valid theory or not. I think some other ministers would do it without my background. But that brings us to the same point that we are unified. There's a oneness that threads us all together. And what Lao Tzu says, how can we be masters of our own universe? Well, we can use these laws we learn here. We can use the creative process. We can use the law of cause and effect. Because we know, and if we listen to Emerson, when we stand up and claim our divinity and shout it loudly and demand it, we will never, as an emperor, have to beg for rice. In all this work we've done with the evolution of consciousness, all the great things that have happened, from the civil rights movement in the 60s to the great advances recently in the LGBTQ community, that never happened from begging. If you beg from a tyrant, you just keep getting more tyranny. That happened from us standing up, recognizing our divinity, and demanding that there's a powerful good in the universe. We can make use of it. We're whole, we're perfect, we're complete, and we can make use of that. Now, it goes beyond just fighting that good fight and beating the man back that was abusing you. Because part of this oneness, you have to get back to compassion. And I want to share with you a very poignant story. It's written by a Native American writer, Gabriel Horn, when one of his loved ones was close to passing. It goes like this: when we are born, it's like taking a cup of spirit out of the gene pool of life that the mystery provides. We must pour that cup back when we die, like a drop of rain that falls back into the ocean where it originated. Except that the drop of spirit we take into this world should increase in size. It can do this if we become closer to the spiritual things of life rather than the material things. The key idea is to fill our cups with goodness. That way, when we die, all that goodness pours back into the mystery and those that we love. So that's the compassion of it. So we have this beautiful connection. When we don't understand it, we can use the old Hermetic teachings, as above, so below. We recognize that this life experience that we have came from somewhere beyond the physical. And it all came from the divine. And we're all these beautiful essences of the divine. And we're not these isolated drops in the ocean that have things wrong with us. We're the beautiful essence of the entire ocean in our single, beautiful, unique drop. And we're connected with all of the other drops. So I'd just like to close with a tribute to Emerson by a modern-day poet. Of all the great, because not only was he great in establishing our religion, he was really the first statesman and great poet that we had that formed this country. And first she quotes him, and Emerson is talking about poetry. He says, "For it is not meters, but a meter-making argument that makes a poem. A thought so passionate and alive that like the spirit of a plant or an animal, it has an architecture of its own." And then this poem is about a book of Emerson she takes off the shelf. And it goes like this: "Your smile is selfish and sensual, a poet with Apollo's privilege, dressed in the loneliness of civility. Where is the fire, the flame, the grab for passion that goes beyond the fame of a painted world? Show me how the greening earth makes you feel, how the curdled fields of winter light your dreams. Show me these things before a fairy fire, so I know you are more alive than you seem." So this is the great, wonderful upbringing that this entire movement was birthed into. We have a powerful teaching. And so the two things I ask you to take with you: to absolutely know that you are one with God, and absolutely know that you are a master of your empire. As Janice said, Marianne Williamson, we are powerful beyond our imagination. As Wayne Dyer would tell us, there's nothing as powerful as an idea whose time has come. So that's our heritage. My challenge to you is to step into our heritage and make it your own. Thank you.